Good morning. This is Pastor Mark McDaniel, and I am with the Evangelical United Church of Christ in Tell City, Indiana, and I am here with our Advent devotion. The title of our devotion this morning is The Thrill of Hope, and it was written by Sean McAvoy. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. That comes from the book of Romans. And now a line from the song, the hymn, the carol, O Holy Night. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. A thrill of hope. Does Christmas still thrill you? Children get excited at the coming of the season, and often we might feel a bit of charge through experiencing their amazement, but the chores we go through to provide that for them are often the very things that rob us from knowing the wonder for ourselves. Plan the party. Trim the tree, max out the MasterCard, wrap, ship, take a trip. And that's assuming we aren't one of the multitudes who find themselves with a case of the holiday blues. So if Christ's coming into this world offers hope, and hope, as the song says, provides a thrill, how do we locate that experience amid the distraction and the disillusionment of December? Well, that's the cool thing about hope. Just as total darkness can't hold back the light of a tiny flame, so does even the smallest increment of hope provide joy and purpose. Here are a few scriptures I've been mulling over on the subject. From the book of Hebrews. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Notice the parallel between things hoped for and things not seen. Talk about a paradox. Try applying assurance to something your five senses can't detect. It's a challenge. The plus side is that hope through Christ is available to you no matter what you see, hear, or feel. It's above your circumstances. And from Romans, we read, we also exult in our tribulations, knowing that tribulation brings about perseverance, and perseverance brings about proven character, and proven character brings about hope, and hope does not disappoint, because the love of God has been poured out within our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has given to us. Do you ever hear people say, I don't want to get my hopes up because they're afraid of being disappointed? What would you make of Paul's claim that hope does not disappoint? Might the disconnect have something to do with what we're hoping for or expecting? Max Lucado thinks so. He writes the following. Hope is not what you'd expect. It is what you would never dream. It is a wild, improbable tale with a pinch me I'm dreaming ending. Hope is not a granted wish or a favor performed. No, it's far greater than that. It is a zany, unpredictable dependence on a God who loves to surprise us out of our socks and be there in the flesh to see our reaction. And of course, this very familiar line from the book of 1 Corinthians. Love hopes all things, but now abide faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Ever wonder why faith, hope, and love are the greatest virtues, and apparently in that order? Maybe hope isn't actually something we do, but something we receive, like grace. If it's true that without faith it is impossible for us to please God, perhaps it's conversely true that without hope, it would be impossible for God to please us. The same verse says that God is a rewarder of those who seek him. Is hope that reward? I mean, if faith is what we give to God and hope is what God gives to us, then we have the dynamic of a relationship. With that in place, we can love. So love is built on hope, which is built on faith. For hope to exist, unfortunately, it looks like there has to be hopelessness first. A perfect world wouldn't have any need for hope. Deliverance arrives undeservedly and perhaps unexpectedly, just as the unlikely way God came to earth to provide a once and for all substitute for all sins of all humanity on the first Christmas. That's why things can look bleak, but that's where hope lives. The good news is you simply can't hope big enough, which goes back to the idea of our minds and senses being inadequate to judge God's design and methods, and hope being more a function of God's involvement than our desires. I readily acknowledge I could not have conceived of the plan of salvation or the virgin birth. I couldn't have imagined the plan for the walls of Jericho to crumble, the hungry lions to turn to Daniel's pet kittens, or the Red Sea to part and offer up dry land. So neither do I know how my problems will be solved, or what miracles I'll be blessed to see this Christmas. Isaiah 9, 6 through 7 concerns the hope of the prophecy being fulfilled that brought us a wonderful counselor, mighty God, eternal Father, and Prince of Peace. The last sentence of verse 7 says, it's the zeal of the Lord that will accomplish this. God is excited. He's zealous, enthusiastic, passionate, obsessive even, to bring us this hope. In Romans 15, this is our Christmas prayer. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Why is there hope? Because Jesus was born. Oh, holy night, what a thrill. God is at work. And for your reflection, what does hope out of despair look like? There are lots of examples in Christian life, but in terms of contemporary cinema, I know of no better example than the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Go back and watch these movies again over the holidays, keeping an eye out for allusions to hope and hopelessness. Thank you for joining me this morning. A reminder that we will have worship at the corner of 10th Street and Jefferson in Tell City this Sunday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. We will have communion on that Sunday, and we will be celebrating the second Sunday of Advent. Thank you, and God bless. Goodbye.